A very good morning to boys and girls. First of all, I would like to thank the school for inviting us to give a talk to you. Hi, I'm Turka Divya. Today, my group is going to talk on the topic of adolescent pregnancy. Do anyone know what is adolescent? Adolescent is you, young boys and girls. You all are not kids anymore. You all are under young adolescent category. So let me explain in detail. Adolescent is a transitional phase of growth and development between childhood and adulthood. The World Health Organization (WHO) defines an adolescent as any person between ages 10 and 19. We specifically chose this topic because adolescent pregnancy has been increasing at an alarming rate, especially in developed countries, including our nation, Malaysia. It has become a global concern because it's not only affect the teenager and her family, but in the society in general. An increase in teenage pregnancy will in the end lead to increased child poverty as well as degradation of the child's well-being. We as a team felt that it's our responsibility in educating our young girls and boys on this topic for a better nation in future, as these young girls and boys are going to lead our nation. So let me introduce my group members. Here is Alia, who's going to talk on the cause of the adolescent pregnancy, Ganeshini on the effect of pregnancy, and lastly Saw on the ways to overcome. I hope this talk will be very useful for you guys.
My name is Alia Syafiqah binti Ahmad Zaki, and now I will continue to the causes of adolescent pregnancy. Based on my reading through some online articles, there are 5 main causes of adolescent pregnancy that include social issues, childhood environment of the teenagers, lack of education on sex and reproductive health, family background and sexual behavior of the adolescent. The first causes of adolescent pregnancy is social issue, which include poverty and limited education of adolescents. Globally, poverty is one of the main social issues which lead to teenage pregnancy. As we can see, there is about 13 million teenage pregnancy in worldwide that involve girls under the age of 20, and around 90% of this pregnancy occur in developing countries such as Africa and Bangladesh. On the other hand, rates of adolescent pregnancy in developed countries such as Korea, Sweden and Switzerland are lower, with only 7 over 1,000 girls got pregnant at early age. Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the developed regions which has the highest rate of adolescent pregnancy. In Sub-Saharan Africa, 143 over 1,000 girls at the age of 15 to 19 years old got pregnant. It is reported that adolescents who live in poverty are 5 times more likely to engage in premarital sexual that lead to pregnancy. The reason why poverty increased the rate of adolescent pregnancy is because some community accepted this pregnancy as an improvement to have a better life. The other social issue that increased adolescents is low and limited education. Adolescent pregnancy mostly occur in rural regions where education is limited and within a family which has low level of education. It is clearly stated that girls with minimal education are more apt to experience adolescent pregnancy. One of the reasons why limitations in education increase adolescent pregnancy is they think that being pregnant is better option rather than continue study, since they do not have access and sufficient money. The second causes that lead to adolescent pregnancy is childhood environment that the adolescent had experienced. Negative experience during childhood, such as domestic violence and sexual abuse, can be the main causes of adolescent pregnancy. Domestic violence can be defined as behavior in any relationship that is used to control over an intimate partner. It can lead to bad relationships between family members. Around 973 girls experience pregnancy at the age of 24 caused by intimate partner violence or domestic violence. Being a victim of sexual abuse also one of the negative childhood experience that cause adolescent pregnancy. Sexual abuse is an abusive behavior by one person to another, and mostly this sexual abuse involves the closest person to the adolescent, such as father, siblings, family, and boyfriends. Approximately 20% of adolescent pregnancy caused by rape and 60% of the pregnancy cases from unwanted sexual intercourse. The third causes of adolescent pregnancy is adolescent are lack of education on sex and reproductive health. As we know, mostly education system in school only teach about basic biology without concern on importance of sex health. Moreover, teenagers usually to embrace to seek and ask their parents regarding sex and reproductive health. Therefore, teenagers have very low knowledge about sex education. In fact, there is only small amount of visitors on online website regarding adolescent pregnancy that reflecting the poor outreach among adolescents. Adolescent pregnancy also depends on family background of the girls. One of the issues involving family background is family strife or family conflict. Some of the adolescents had been raised by single parent and do not have father or mother since birth due to divorce or death. The other family conflict is maybe mother of the adolescent had experienced adolescent pregnancy when she was young. Adolescent pregnancy also causes to girls who are lack of affection and attention from their family and trying to seek for attention from their boyfriend. Belief in culture also one of the issue in family background, since some cultures or races force girls to get married at an early age. They also encourage the girls to have a baby at an early age in order to prove their fertility. This culture almost occur in some rural areas such as in Indian subcontinent. In some culture in sub-Saharan Africa, they believe that early marriage and pregnancy is a fully blessing. The last causes of adolescent pregnancy is sexual behavior of adolescent itself. This sexual behavior includes the uses of drugs and alcohols associated with negative peer pressure. Pregnant girls in most developing countries such as London are most likely to use drugs and alcohols. When the teenagers are underconscious due to drugs and alcohols, they tend to have sexual intercourse. It is reported that 16% of pregnant teenagers use alcohols, meanwhile 14% use cannabis or marijuana, which increase sex desire, and the rest use other illicit drugs. Negative peer pressure also includes in sexual behavior, as negative peer influence the teenagers' perception on sexuality. Negative peer or community try to comfort the teenagers to norm the sexual behavior. This issue almost occur in urban areas rather than rural areas.
Effects of adolescent pregnancy. Impact on family. When teen pregnancy occurs, the entire family will be affected, which lead to stress that will affect family relationship. The first predicament faced by the teen and her family is whether or not to continue with the pregnancy and have the baby. The teen usually feels that she is not ready to take care of the baby and opted for abortion or may give it up for adoption. The problems will get worse if it involves legal issues, which may add up to the pressure and stress that the teen and the family encountered. Impact on adolescents' mental health. Pregnant adolescents are at higher risk to get mental health problems such as depression, intense stress, and pressure to become parents. They are faced with a lack of support from family and community that will lead to depression, making wrong decisions, and abusing drugs. Because of the stigma, teenage pregnancy is still high in our community. Pregnant teens may deal with feelings of shame, guilt, anger, denial, and may lead to depression and low self-esteem. Eventually, they will be affected to seek help from friends, family, or anyone about becoming pregnant, which lead to further isolation from society. Social impact. Stigma attached to teen pregnancy out of wedlock will make adolescents feel isolated and do not get much support from family and friends. Health consequence of teenage pregnancy. The effect of teen pregnancy to the baby: low birth weight, early birth. Pregnant adolescents often give birth earlier than expected. Infant death. Pregnant teens often do not get adequate antenatal care, which can lead to detrimental consequences for the baby. The effect of pregnancy to the teenager. High blood pressure often occurs during the first pregnancy. Difficult labor. Pregnant adults often have high risk of obstructive labor due to small pelvic cavity, which may lead to the use of the tools to assist delivery. Anemia. Birth complication that can result in infant death. Financial economic problems. Due to stigma and shame, pregnant teenagers are often forced to stop schooling, and this will reduce their chances to hold a decent job and have a good income, which will limit the opportunities to build a better life in the future. Poor income may have adverse consequences to the nutrition and care of the baby to be born.
Next would be the ways to overcome adolescent pregnancy. There are 3 ways to overcome adolescent pregnancy. First, do social development program. Second, comprehensive sex education program. And third, the roles of the parents. First, youth social development program. It is actually a program which participants will receive intensive training or usual education curriculum, especially for the students, in order for them to avoid from high-risk behavior such as early sexual activity, especially in their adolescent age. And this program targets to increase students' social skills and attachment to the school and family members. So in this training program, they will be exposed to social and psychological skills, problem-solving skills, child behavior management, drug use prevention in adolescents, and volunteerism is also encouraged for them to increase their self-esteem. However, this program does not provide sex education because it is just a development program to develop their inner health. Second method will be comprehensive sex education program. This program presents abstinence as the most effective method to overcome adolescent pregnancy. So, what is actually abstinence? Abstinence is defined as a self-enforced restraint from indulging in bodily activities that are widely experienced as giving pleasure. So, in simple terms, it is defined as the condition when we are not having sex. Next, this program also discusses about contraception as appropriate strategy for those who are sexually active. In this program, there are a lot of activities implemented. For example, activities which focus on reducing high-risk sexual behaviors, activities which presents accurate, age-appropriate, and culturally sensitive information about unprotected sexual activity, the use of contraceptives, strategies of preventing sexually transmitted diseases, and this program also allows adequate time for the physicians or speakers and the participants to have an interactive exchange about their opinions and their knowledge about pregnancy and sex. It also teaches the communication skills to the participants to avoid social pressures that may influence sexual activity. This program actually encourages all young people, no matter boys and girls, to have an open, non-judgmental, and confidential discussions on sex. And the last and the main way to overcome adolescent pregnancy will be the roles of parents. So first, parents should introduce early sex education to their children. For example, you may talk with your children about sex and love. Kids may ask, how do I know I'm in love? Or will sex bring me closer to my boyfriend? So this comes and a misunderstanding about sex and love. There's actually huge difference between sex and love. So when they ask you this question, you have to be specific. As a parent, you have to be specific and declare and clarify with them about the difference between sex and love based on your knowledge or your understanding as well as your experience. And don't be shy, you have to be honest and open to discuss on sex and let them know what you value and believe on about sex and love. You have to listen to your children about the understandings, like what they have already known about sex and love, And you have to make your conversation a back and forth one. I mean, like two-way conversation, not only you teaching them, but they will recall with your opinions, so that they might share their opinions about sex and love. Then you may discuss together with them and clarify with them. You have to let them feel comfortable to open up their heart, to let them share their privacies, especially to you, to share their mood, to share their ups and downs, so that you are capable of understanding them better and more. And as parents, do not encourage them to be sexually active. For example, you may say it's normal to have sexual desires and to think about sex, but it is not okay for teens to get pregnant. Or in a more acceptable way, you may say, in our family, we believe that sex should be an expression of love within marriage. So they understood that they have to get married before they have sex. So this is one of the ways to avoid from adolescent pregnancy or early pregnancy. Next, parents should supervise and monitor children's activities. These are the parents' responsibilities to know that whether their children are safe, what are they doing, and are they involved in useful activities. For example, you may know your children's friends and their families. Like you may have a talk with your children's friends' parents, like parents of friends. You may share with them about the curfews, the rules and expectations of you to your children, and listen to them and share among you guys. So yeah. And then you have to know what your children are actually watching, reading and listening to, because messages of sex are actually sent through media such as TV, music videos and radios. Next, you have to take a strong stand against children dating people who are significantly older and younger than them, because the power differences of age may lead them to be in risky situations such as unwanted or unprotected sex. Last, you have to strive for a relationship that is warm and affectionate. You have to emphasize to your children about mutual trust and respect. You may express your love and affection as well as appreciation clearly and often to them by hugging them and telling them how much you love them every day. Next, you must emphasize how much you value education, because school failure is also one of the key factors that lead to teen parenthood. And last, you must listen to them. Sometimes you may put yourself in their shoes, help them with their interests, help them to set real and meaningful goals, help them to utilize their time wisely instead of thinking of parenthood or sex. And you have to teach them interpersonal skills. All in all, you have to put them in touch with committed and caring adults. Let them feel that they are cared, they are loved, and they are concerned. Yeah, that's all from me.
So boys and girls, we have come to the end of the talk. So let me conclude this talk with some statistics. Teenage pregnancy or adolescent pregnancy is a crisis that concerns the baby, the parents, and other family members as well as resources of the community. Every year, approximately 750,000 women aged 15 to 19 are pregnant. Every year, that is a huge number. Nevertheless, despite the numerous elements that can influence the teenage pregnancy, the most highlighted element is that many teenagers are lack of safe sex education from schools and parents, or otherwise is the root cause of teenage pregnancy. Generally, teenagers are not taught regarding the means of birth control and how to respond with friends who compel them into having sexual intercourse before they have prepared. It can thus be concluded that teenage pregnancy is a problem to the entire society. Moreover, Since it is largely caused by factors in the society, it is the obligation of every member of the society, including religious leaders, parents, teachers, and the teenagers themselves to participate in addressing the issue. Thank you, boys and girls, for listening.